Hello class, Mr. Guarino here. In this video, I'm going to illustrate how to use the polystar tool in Adobe Animate. So create new, leave it on our settings that we've been using, 1280 by 720, 30 uh, frame rate of 30, platform type HTML5 canvas. Create. Oh, I had this open from before. Let me close that down. That's the standard way you look at things. Okay, so the polystar tool is underneath the rectangle tool. Click and hold down, choose polystar. It defaults to polygon. I think it defaults to 5 sides. Forget what I had it on before. And I was just fooling around. This should be solid. So you can have a fill and you can have a stroke, just like ovals and rectangles. And you can change the stroke size. And then you click and drag, and you get a five-sided polygon. I think you can go up to 32. I'll put in 100. Yep, 32. That's as big as you can go. So 32 sides. Notice it looks a lot like a circle. When you talk about like video games and how good the graphics are nowadays, and the video cards that cost thousands of dollars to render those graphics, what they're doing is they're taking shapes of, like a person, um, and they're approximating the the contours of a body with polygons. And the more polygons you can put into the 3D model, the smoother it will look. And that's why this pretty much looks like a circle. I mean, if we zoom in, you can see that it's got some edges. And if I click, well, if I was to click with my sub selection tool over here, you can see, I guess it's got 32 edges, so 33 points or 31 points. Always one more or less. I don't know. What's the difference? Okay, so that's how they make characters in video games look so good, by just having lots and lots of these polygons. So up to 32 in Adobe Animate for a polygon. Okay, so create a polygon and then go back here. The same tool creates stars. So we just have to switch this from polygon to star. Um, I don't know the maximum, probably 32 as well, which it is. But let's create a normal star, which is like 5 sides. So if I go here and I draw, uh, that's a star, but it doesn't look too much like a star because I was fooling around with the star point size. So 1 is as big as you can go. The smallest you can go, I think, is 0.1. Let me put 0.01. It takes 0.01. Let me put 0.001. And then it goes to 0. So 0.01 is probably the smallest. Let's just put 0.1. And then if I click and drag, you get a star that looks like this. So basically, like say from 0.1 to 1. So let's put 0.5. That's probably going to look like a more normal star. So drag over here, and Yahoo, it does. So you can change the number of sides too. If you want an 8-sided star, you can do that. If you want to create the sun, obviously this doesn't look like the sun, but if you put a whole bunch of stars in there, I don't know, 16 maybe, you start dragging out something, you can approximate something that people would recognize as being the sun, especially obviously if you make it yellow. Okay, so that's how you make your stars. Right now, if you noticed, I have it on uh, object mode. If I change to shape mode and I draw some polygons, 16 sides, I don't know, how about 8 sides, right? And we know now from the previous lesson that we can drag, oops, double click, drag these together, click away. Because it had a stroke, it kind of cuts into it, but these are objects, so when I drag them on top of each other, they don't cut into each other, right? So depending on what you're looking to do with your drawings, um, remember to check out that button, shape or object, and always remember you can always switch it afterwards. So right now I want to draw. Let me do this. So for your assignment, oops, I hate when that happens. So for your assignment, what I want you to do is draw a hex nut. A hex nut is, when you're bolting things together, you put a bolt through something and you put a nut on the end and you tighten it. So let's draw a hex nut. So a hex nut, well, hex meaning hexagon. So if I click here, I'm on the polystar tool. Oh, I gotta deselect that stuff, I guess. So let me click over there. All right, so, and I want a polygon, but I want 12 sides. Not 12, 6 for a hexagon. Duh. Okay, and right now I'm on the shape mode, right? So I'm going to draw this hexagon. And not because it has to be, but I'd rather have the flat sides on the top and the bottom. So if I hold down shift, it kind of restrains it to 45 degrees. You know, the ovals, it makes them circles. This, it just like doesn't let you spin it. It kind of jumps. So I want it like that. And I didn't want those colors. So I forgot. Let's undo that. And I want a fill. I mean, nuts and bolts are usually made out of some sort of steel. So they're usually sort of grayish, silver, whatever you want to say, color. And then I'm going to turn off the stroke and draw that again. I'm going to hold down shift. And so I have a hex nut, but a hex nut has a hole in it, right? So now I want to put a hole in there. And this is a shape, so I'm going to draw, let's say, I don't know, a red circle. So I'm going to go to my oval tool and click fill and go to red and then draw a circle. But how do I get it exactly in the center? Well, that's kind of hard. And if you draw it and you think you're getting in the center, which if you click in the center and hold down shift and drag, you get a circle, but it drags from left to right. That's not in the center. So let me undo that. If I click in the center and hold down shift and alt, shift and the alt key at the same time, when I drag, it drags left and right at the same time, so it stays in the center. So the alt key, it makes the function of the tool different. Always let up the mouse first and then let up the keys on the keyboard. But now if I go to my select tool and I click this and I drag, well, I had it, but I don't know. It doesn't really look in the center to me. It looks a little high. And so I don't want to do that. So let me undo, undo, undo. So a better way to do it would be to draw the circle on the outside of this. So I'm going to hold down shift and draw a circle. And then I'm going to put it in here and it's going to cut it out. But I don't want to just drag it because I might not get it in the center. So I go to my select tool. I open up this panel more. Let me drag this over so you can see better. And then on my align thing, which is probably closed to you to begin with, but I was just playing around with it so it was open. So I closed it. So now if I open it, you click on it and you see these align things. So I'm going to align the horizontal centers, but I have to click on these two things first so it knows what to align. So click on this, hold down shift, click on that, align the horizontal centers, align the vertical centers, and then if I click away and drag this off, I have a hole. But that's an awfully thick hex nut, so I didn't make the circle big enough. While it's here, if you click on this and you go to your free transform tool, and then you hold down shift and drag, you can make it bigger and then click away and then click here, drag it off, and then you have the right size hole, or a hole that looks good enough. Then you can delete this circle because you don't need it. But when you look through the end of a hexagon nut or hex nut, there's a thread in here which you can't really see from the end view. So most of the times when we're drawing these things, the way we show that there's more stuff there is by putting a dotted circle around the edge. So let's do that. Let's click here on our oval tool and change the style. Ooh, yeah, change the, oh, it's got no stroke, that's why. So change, I don't want fill now. I just want the stroke. And I want the stroke to be black. And I want the style to be dotted. Now, if I leave it on shape and I drag from the center, when I let go, it might cut out the gray. So this is a good instance where I'm going to put it to the object mode. And I'm going to click in here, hold down Shift and Alt. Looks like the center. I'm going to make it a little off center just so that I can do the alignment thing again and have it obvious. So I'm going to click and drag. And so that looks like it's about the right size. So let me let go. The stroke is a little too fat. So let me go to my select tool, click here, and change that stroke. That looks better. Dotted circle, right? And then I'm going to go to my, I could do the free transform and try and center it, but why not just click on this circle or this nut thing, right? And go to align and say align center, line center. Sometimes it disappears when you first do that. And if you click away, it'll come back. And you can see it's perfectly centered. It's a little big, so I'm going to click here and then go to modify, free transform, holding down shift, because if I don't hold down shift, I can make it an oval. I'm going to hold down shift so it stays a circle, and go just to the outside of the white circle so that it looks like an actual engineering drawing. And the way an engineering drawing looks when you draw a hex nut is you have your hex, you have your hole, but then you also have this dotted line to let everybody know that there's a thread in there so that you can thread it onto a bolt and tighten something. Okay, so for this assignment, let's draw some uh, polygons, some stars using the polystar tool, whatever you want to do. And then to finish it off, draw me this nice hex nut like I just illustrated with a hole in the center and a dotted line around the hole showing that there's a thread. And then save this file